Welcome to Career Uprising. I'm your host and professional career coach, Lorraine Rise. Join me as I guide you through an amazing journey of self-discovery and empowerment. If you are looking for work, changing careers, or stuck in a toxic job, then this is the show for you. I offer both practical and spiritual guidance to help you up-level and advance your career. Let's start the uprising. Hey everybody, you are listening to episode 23, Can Everyone Really Follow Their Passion? Hey everybody, it's me again, Lorraine. How are you doing out there? Thank you for joining me for another episode today of Career Uprising. I hope that things are fabulous wherever you are. You know, we've got a lot going on here. We've got Hurricane Florence making its way kind of up the coast. Luckily here where I am in Virginia, I don't think it'll be too bad, but we have not seen the sunshine in about 6 or 7 days, and I don't think it's going to shine anytime soon. We've had a lot of rain, and so it's very wet here in Virginia, but thank you so much for joining me. I've got a great topic for you today. We're going to be talking about this idea that I'm sure that you have heard about following your passion, okay? About your career being, you know, this big purpose that you have and your calling. And is it really possible for everyone to be happy with their jobs? You know, or is that phrase, following your passion, just kind of trite, cliched self-help advice that just sounds nice, right? Because we all know that phrase. It's really overused a lot. But there is also, I think, a widespread belief in today's society that work is just work. You know, that's how we make a living, and you shouldn't necessarily be expected to enjoy it, or at least I think that we used to have that mentality. I think for the biggest part, it's eroding. You know, people are starting to realize that yes, you can enjoy work and you can demand more. It doesn't have to be just something you do to pay your bills. But so I'm going to give you my take on this topic today, and I will say first of all that just in a general sense, yes, I do think that people can and should follow their passion. And if I didn't, then there wouldn't be a whole lot of point in me even making this show or being a career coach, right? Because I would just tell people, well, it is what it is, right? Work is just works. And I wouldn't make a living out of helping people to get through these career problems that they have. So on a very baseline sense, yes, I do think you can, but if you really want the gospel, according to me, so then I think you should follow your passion because you want to find lasting fulfillment and you want to reach your potential. But, and there's a big but to this, that is not the end of the story, okay? I have a bit of an unconventional viewpoint, I would say, maybe on this subject, and I'm probably not going to advise you to do what you think I'm going to. So keep listening and we will explore this topic today. And in great timing too, I wanted to share with you that I had a listener question that came through Facebook just a couple of days. And it's from a gal who I know she's a super loyal fan and I love her for it. She's been listening for, or I think really since the show's inception, which is awesome. And she I'm happy for her. She just recently left her old employer, which was super, super stressful and just demanding and overbearing, I think. And she's actually taken a temp job now through an agency, which is something that I have advised on this show. So she kind of took my advice a little bit there and just kind of created a stopgap for herself, which is great. But ultimately, what she wants to do is find that new permanent employment that she can love and stay at and make a good income. You know, I think we're always trying to figure out, you know, can I make money and do what I love at the same time? Or am I going to have to sacrifice one over the other? I think that's just the big question on a lot of people's minds. So she was kind of looking for some guidance about how can I do that? You know, how can I find that great job and not have to sacrifice the income as well. So this is that's a pretty big question. So I'm probably going to have to do a separate show on that, which I think I will do. But for now, what I will say to my listener and to anyone else who is wondering the same thing, how do I find a job that I enjoy and that I'm good at and that will sustain me? What I would say right now is go back into the archives of this show and go to episode 4 first, which is called Setting an Intention for Your Job Search. This is a great episode that helps you to set a clear direction and kind of attract to yourself a job that is really well aligned with you. Not just any job, but something where you are happy and you are fulfilled and you are making a great income and there's no sacrifice there because there doesn't have to be. So try episode 4. But I would also say I did a pretty popular 3-part series called Changing Careers. There's 3 separate shows for it. So it's the first time I did a series. So I go into a pretty good depth there about how to change to a new career field, how to find out what that is, and then how to do it and where to find it. So I would say to my listener and anyone else listening who's kind of wondering the same thing, that's a great starting point. But I will try and do a full episode pretty soon about, how to know what you're good at and how to kind of attract that really ideal job. So you can find all those past episodes in the archives of my show, of course, on infloradio.com. Also, I am on Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, tunein.com. I'm a lot of places. So you have a lot of choices there, which is really good. So, and I do want to say before we dive too deep into the topic that if you're new to my world and you're new to me and my philosophy and approach to careers, then I want to make sure that you are given the opportunity to join my tribe and my movement. I like to think it's kind of a movement here. And it's really all about not settling for less, demanding more from yourself and from life and from your career as well. So you hear me say that a lot on this show, that in order to demand more from your job and your career and your life, it starts with you. So if you like that and you can live with that, then join me. You can find me on Facebook. I have a Facebook group called Career Uprising, on LinkedIn, of course. And then I've got my awesome emails that go out every now and then. Nothing too overbearing there, but you can go to worksmartcounseling.com, hop on my email list and kind of stay in touch with what's going on and all my blog articles and podcast episodes and everything like that. That's a great next step if you aren't really that acquainted with me yet. But anyway, so let's go ahead and dig in to this topic, to this idea of, can everybody really be happy at work and follow their passion? Is that something that's realistic for everybody? And it sounds like, pretty reasonable advice, right? Everyone, I think, has been told that at some point. Anytime you're facing a career decision, you're at a crossroads, it's kind of become the standard advice to be like, oh, well, just follow your passion, do what you love. We hear those cliches a lot. And like I said earlier, I don't disagree with those things. I don't at all. I mean, heck, I'm following my passion in a sense here because I'm doing what I love and what I wanted to do. But what I want you to know is that isn't the whole story. Okay. I think probably the biggest counter argument to this theory of following your passion is that it's hard to really apply that consistently across the board. Okay. So for example, I think the biggest critique to it is, well, what about all those jobs that no one wants, right? What about janitors and the garbage man? If everyone follows their passion, well, who's going to do those jobs, right? So that's why a lot of people think that it doesn't work necessarily, that maybe some people, if they're lucky, can follow their passion, but not all of us, right? So here's where my viewpoint comes in, and here's where I take kind of a non-traditional approach to this whole thing. I believe that your passion has nothing necessarily to do with your job title, okay? If you see it that way, I think you're missing the point. And I think you're missing the bigger picture here. There is grace and beauty to be found in every job, whether it's delivering the mail or collecting garbage or mopping floors. But you have to bring that grace to the job, or I guess in this case, passion. You have to bring the passion to the job. That's the difference. So following your passion is not necessarily about what job you have, but how you show up in that job and in the world. So if you're the best garbage collector out there and you take pride in your work and you feel grateful that you have that job, then you, my friend, are following your passion, regardless of what you do for a living. Congratulations. Right? So we're expanding our definition here of what it means to follow your passion. And I believe following your passion is a way of living. It's a way of navigating the world and showing up for your life every day. It's not tied to a job title. It's more than what you do for a paycheck. It's who you are. It's how you live. You know, and I did, it makes me think too, I did another show, I think it was episode 11, that has a really similar message, and it was called Who You Are Versus What You Do. So check out that one. I think that's another great supplement to the show as well. Similar theme that'll kind of support all of this if you're curious and maybe you haven't thought of this topic in this way. But the second thing that I would say too is, you know, you have to start somewhere, right? So no one says that everyone's passion is going to be the same all the time. I think it's going to evolve. I think it's going to evolve as you grow and evolve in your life. It's not stagnant. So we have to remember that. And I never said anyone could necessarily either follow their passion every single day of their life, all the time, right? We all start somewhere. Different jobs will suit us better at different times in our lives. So just because you're not doing what's necessarily your dream job at the moment doesn't necessarily mean that you are off track from your passion somehow. Maybe you're en route. Maybe you're on your way. Maybe it's a stepping stone. But again, I think that if you look at it as following your passion is who you are and how you show up and how you do what you do, not what you do, you can't lose. You're always following your passion. You know, you're never off track. So I want you to keep that in mind. You know, it kind of makes me go back in my own career to, you know, when I was young and I was in high school and college and I worked a lot of retail jobs, I never waited tables. Never waited tables a day in my life. That just didn't appeal to me, but I was happy to just work at, you know, the mall and things like that. And so I've said this before on other shows, you know, I don't want to do that now. That's not really what I would be interested in now, but I loved those jobs. When I was 19, 20, 21, I was happy. I showed up very well for those jobs. They paid me what I needed at the time and what I expected. They were perfect for my skill level and for my schedule as a student. I mean, that's following my passion at that time. I think it was because it met my needs and I met its needs, and it was a perfect relationship at that time. Now I've let myself grow. I've let myself evolve, and I'm not looking down on those things, but I'm just saying that's not what I want right now. But if someone else wants to do that, great. Okay. So it's flexible, it's moldable, it evolves over time. And I think if you give it that flexibility, there's a lot of freedom in that. Okay. So there's a couple of quotes too that I love from some of my influencers and people who really inspire me, that give, I think, some good perspective on this conversation. And I will tell you, one of my favorite authors is Elizabeth Gilbert. She wrote, of course, this little book called Eat, Pray, Love, which I'm sure you've heard of. She's actually written a lot more than that, but that's what she's known for. And she says, if you can't follow your passion or you don't know what that is, follow your curiosity. She's a big proponent of just being curious in the world. And sometimes it's that curiosity that leads you to what your passion is. So I completely agree with her that curiosity is highly underrated. It's a great characteristic that I think we need to nurture more in people, even not just kids. We always nurture it in kids, but we kind of forget about it as adults. But I think that curiosity is the gateway to finding your passion. So if you at least allow yourself that first step, I think you'll find it eventually. So, don't necessarily worry about it. If you hear other people talk about finding I found my passion and my calling in life, and you feel like you don't know what yours is, trust me, whatever you're doing right now, wherever you are where you're supposed to be doing what you're supposed to be doing. You are, I promise. Okay. Remember, it's not about what you do. It's about how you do it. Okay. Every job serves a purpose out there. Every job is needed in some way. It's about how you do it. All right. Passion isn't something that you find. It's who you are. Here's another quote. Do you guys remember Mike Rowe from the show Dirty Jobs? I love that show. I don't know if that's even on anymore. Probably not at this point, but that was a great show. And I think Mike Rowe is a cool guy. So he has some thoughts on this topic as well. And his take is interesting. He says, I would never advise someone to follow their passion until I understand who they are, what they want, and why they want it. And even then, I'd be cautious. Passion is too important to be without, but too fickle to be guided by. All right, let's take a quick commercial break. We're going to pause for just a minute, but I do have more on this. When we come back, I have some more thoughts and some more tips for you guys. All right, so we're going to take just a quick break and we will be right back. Hey everyone. While the show takes just a quick break, I want to invite you to connect with me personally to get help in your career. If you like what you've heard so far, sign up for my mailing list so you can be a part of my community. I offer all kinds of career-related advice, and I have a free guide that I created just for you called Strategies for Interview Success, and you'll get it instantly in your inbox as soon as you sign up. Head over to worksmartcounseling.com/sign up. That's worksmart, COUNSELING.com/sign up. Or go to my show page on inflowradio.com and get on the list today. All right, let's get back to the show. And we are back. Thank you guys for sticking with me. I have a few more thoughts, as I usually always do, on this topic and this idea of, can we all follow our passion? Can we all enjoy work no matter what we do, or is work just work? And so I've been I offered up a quote just before the break from Mike Rowe, and what his quote I feel like really said was that your passion, which much like creativity, which I was just talking about as well, it can come and go. It can evolve, it can and should evolve as you move through your life. So he is kind of cautious to tell people, sure, just, whatever it is, just go for it. Because I think there's a lot of factors in there. And I think that, we also don't necessarily have to think of our passion as something that we do as a job and that pays our bills, right? Your passion doesn't have to be your profession. Who says that you can't find that elsewhere and then do something that may be more practical, for lack of a better word, to pay your bills? Because, and this is a really big point, and I want to emphasize this a lot, especially to people out there who maybe kind of have like a side gig, or, maybe you do art or music or, something kind of creative, artistic on the side, and you've got this day job that you're doing. That's really common. And I've been there. So I want to offer you this perspective, and I'm not discouraging you from leaving your job and making that, that side project your full-time gig, because I've done that. Obviously, I'm doing that now. But I do want to tell you, though, that there is one problem with this that some people encounter. There's one perspective that I want you to offer. And this is why I think that you don't always have to have your passion as your job. So, sometimes when you take that interest in that craft, that passion that you have, and you turn it into a job, unexpectedly, it can suck the life out of it. Because think about it. You have to be prepared that you've now kind of burdened, really, it can be a burden sometimes, your once enjoyable art form and dream with now having to pay your bills. And I just want you to be wary of that. I'm not discouraging you from that because it can be amazing, but it's not for everyone. Not everyone has to turn their hobby into their job. Not everyone should. Some people are great at it, very successful, but there's pros and cons to it, okay? Because what happens is, so you've charged your dream now with paying your bills. Well, what's going to happen when it doesn't do that for you? When it fails to meet that expectation? 1 month, maybe then 2 months. Maybe now you're looking at 6 months and you're still not getting by. What it does is it creates this false sense of failure. Like my craft has failed me somehow. I can't make my living as a musician or whatever. So there's this perception of failure and it's wrong. And then maybe you quit, and you're more likely to give up and say, well, I just can't, I can't make it work. I guess I got to go back and to do whatever. So this is a hard issue because sometimes people are really successful at doing what they really want to be doing and that thing that's been their side project. And some people aren't. And either one is okay. Everybody is different. It's right for some people and it's not right for some people. All right. So I just want you to kind of take a holistic view of all of this and just acknowledge that not everything that you do that's enjoyable has to be your job. Your passion doesn't have to be linked to your profession or your job title. And when you realize that, I think it frees you so much. But if you want to do that, go for it. I am supporting you by all means. Okay. So what should you do now? All right. By all means, I want you to go out there and I want you to do what you feel compelled to do. Do what's enjoyable for you. I would never tell you not to do that. Okay. So if you feel called to do something different, something more meaningful, follow it. I want you to do that. I'm doing that. But know that even when immersed in this passion, there will be obstacles. There will be setbacks. There will be days when it doesn't feel fun anymore. You may end up changing your mind at some point, and that is okay. You may or may not be able to pay your bills with whatever this is that you want to do as your passion. Okay, you might. And if you can, great. But if you can't, you didn't fail. You just need to do something else. You just need to keep it as maybe your side project, something like that. And you might actually enjoy it more that way. So it's not a bad thing. I really want you to just expand your viewpoint here. Follow your passion by all means, but just know and accept all of those pros and cons in there, okay? Allow your passion to change and evolve and know that wherever you are, whatever you're doing, it is right and it is perfect and you are allowed to change your mind at any point. So if this concept here of kind of following your passion or finding your life's purpose is still perplexing to you and you don't know how to figure out alone, well, you are in great company, my friend. You would be like the 200 plus clients that I've served over the last 3 years. What I do is I teach and motivate, and inspire people to know what their strengths are, find a job that complements those strengths, master that job search process, and feel confident and competitive. And I do this by helping them understand more about themselves and what would be a good match for them and what would be better as something more on the side. So I would encourage you to if you're thinking about changing careers or anything like that, contact me. Okay, we'll see what that looks like. And I want to say too, even if you're not job searching, because I kind of talk about that a lot, I want you to know that I can still help you. My coaching practice encompasses a lot of things that don't always directly relate to the job search. So things like creating good work-life balance and boundaries with your employer. increasing your engagement and satisfaction at your job, dealing with maybe a toxic boss or annoying coworkers, negotiating raises and positioning yourself for a promotion. These are all things that I can help you work through as well that don't necessarily involve you getting a new job. So, all right, guys, that is about it for episode 23. I hope that served you. And if you like what you hear, consider working with me to take your career to the next level. You can find me at worksmartcounseling.com, and I have several amazing programs that can help you through whatever you are going through. And I will say, too, if you ever have a career question that you would like me to answer on a show, or even better, if you'd like to be coached on the air on one of my episodes, email me at Lorraine@careeruprising.com and let me know. Let me know what your question or your issue is, and we can figure out if you want to be coached on the air, or if you just want me to read and answer, whatever you prefer. But until next week, I want you to go out there and be fierce, guys. I love you, and I will talk to you next time. That's it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you heard today, please consider giving the show a positive review on iTunes. It would mean a lot to me, and it would help to spread the word so that others can learn about the show. Thanks again for tuning in, and I can't wait to connect with you again next time on Career Uprising.
This show was brought to you by InflowRadio.com. The best curated talk radio network for personal development, wellness, spirituality, and conscious business.